I used to do lots of things.
I used to do things and I'd say things and Jesus I was evil. Take things and break things and Jesus I was evil. I never shook, baby.
So, do you ever like when you're in like a social situation
No.
and you're talking?
No.
I know you don't socialize, but like if you were
Right.
theoretically, if you were to like be in a position with other normal human beings
Sure.
and you're talking about your interests and hobbies and stuff, and you meet someone and they have a similar interest as you, and you go, "Oh, that's cool." So, what's your favorite, whatever it is, whether it's a genre of music or type of literature or whatever? And then they give, and at first you're excited because you think, "Oh, finally I met like a kindred spirit," and then they give like a very bland normie answer. We're like, "Oh, that's the answer everyone goes to." Like, has that happened to you? You know what I'm talking about?
Well, probably you're kind of putting me on the spot.
Yeah, I'll give you an example.
Yeah, I feel like you, because we didn't prep this before, so I feel like this happened to you very recently. So
well, it's you'll see where I'm going with this. So it's like if I meet somebody at a party or whatever, and they say, "Oh, you play guitar? What genre do I play?" I'm like, "Oh, I play heavy metal." Like, "Oh, that's so cool! I love heavy metal." I'm like, "Oh, so who's your favorite band?" And they go, "Oh, Metallica." It's like, okay, yeah, I love Metallica, but do you know anything about other than just like the most popular heavy metal band of all time?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, oh, I love fantasy. Oh, you love fantasy literature? Oh, that's cool. Yeah, Harry Potter. Yeah, okay, sure. But has that ever happened to you? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, of course I know what you're talking about. I can't think of any. Maybe it's happened to me with like Game of Thrones because I know, which isn't really necessarily fair to the other person because I've read like every book, every prequel, so a lot of people are just kind of thinking about the show, and even then probably only know kind of the basics.
Yeah,
where I know like the rivalries of minor houses and characters who've never even appeared mentioned in the show. Probably that, but I'll try and think of one and get back because I feel like that is a common experience.
Yeah, well, and it's funny because like it's also been a type of meme where it's like, you know, usually with a girl. I've mostly experienced this with girls, and I don't mean to be
talking to girls.
Yeah, and they're all negative experiences. No, no, but like there's, I definitely experienced this in high school when I was really starting to get into like classic rock and heavy metal. And if I saw, if I met a girl and she had a cool t-shirt, she had a t-shirt of a cool band, I'm like, oh, that's so cool. Like, what's your favorite song? And she's like, oh, whatever. So you bought the shirt because you like the design.
Yeah, thinking of it, actually, that exact situation happened to me. And like a lot of people don't realize this until they travel. Like in other countries, American culture is just kind of like a status thing. Like it's just kind of cool. Like as much as we think everyone hates us, and like that's actually not true at all. So I remember, like American flags are really popular actually in other countries to like wear on things. And so I remember this girl who was in my friend group, and she was wearing a Ramones shirt, and I started asking her some questions about songs and like also about like saying kind of where I'm from, and near New Jersey's where I'm from. It's like near New York. I never said I'm from New York, but and she's like, what do you mean they're from London? And I was like, oh, I mean, if you don't know the Ramones are from New York, they're like New York, like they're a quintessential New York band.
CBGB, like that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. So if you're saying like, it's not even like you're saying they're from Chicago, like you're from London, you're not even in the right country. You're just kind of lumping them in with, I guess, like the Sex Pistols,
Clash,
and that sort of thing. Yeah, and the Clash. So I was just like, oh, okay, you're just wearing this more like for fun, which is fine.
Sure.
Like that's, I'm not one of those people who's like, name 5 songs. Like I don't do that.
Well, there's a meme of that where it's like, oh, you like music? Name every song.
Oh yeah, I do that with politics. It's like, oh, you like Congress? Name 5 house like members of the House of Representatives.
Yeah.
And guess what? Nobody can.
I know.
Nobody.
I don't think they can. I don't think like the actual politicians can.
Right. People are starting to like governors and senators. I'm like, no. Like name 5 members of the House of Representatives. They can't.
Well, the reason I bring that up is because it actually relates to the topic of the day, which is
Hit me.
is 1999 like the best year of film? And like it's like there's so many articles and so many videos
Yeah.
of 1990 year was the best year for film. It's like,
Yeah.
and here's the thing, like there's a good reason for that. Like there are a lot of amazing films came out that year.
Yeah.
And it was also just before, Y2K. It was before like like
9/11.
Netflix was 9/11, yeah. It was before like Netflix really took off, and like the tail end of VHS renting a movie on a Friday night sort of thing.
Yeah.
So like that was sort of like the pinnacle in many ways of like,
Mhm.
and it was also like I think the before franchises and superhero movies and stuff like that came out. Like, and I think we talked about this where Matt Damon was saying, the 90s was a good era overall for film because
Mhm.
studios were willing to take chances with movies that maybe were a little more outside the box. And even if it flopped at the box office, word of mouth could carry it through.
With DVD sales.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So you had more interesting films coming out in the 90s.
Mhm.
And 1999 was kind of, I think, the pinnacle of that in many ways.
Mhm.
Fight Club, American Beauty, The Matrix. So I mean, Eyes Wide Shut. Tons and tons of movies. But Ben and I, we don't always go along with the crowd.
No.
We're willing to be a little heterodox on this. So we've come up with a few other alternatives.
Yeah. So, like 1999, they do have some really good movies. So I'm on an article right now. This is The Guardian. I no, it's not good. Okay, I didn't click on that. It's Movie Web. Did you see this one?
Yeah.
So they have 1999 as number 2, but they have 1939 as number 1, which is kind of like how many people have seen movies from 1939 outside of The Wizard of Oz? Like everyone's seen that.
Yeah.
I've never even heard of I've heard of Stagecoach, heard of Gunga Din, but I haven't seen them. Not saying I'm not opposed to any of these, but it's just like, and I guess Gone with the Wind came out that year. Yeah, that's fine. Like I'm all for that.
Sure.
I'm one of those people. Like I'm all for that. Like number 1 though, in whenever this came out, probably a couple years ago. Yeah. So my inclination had always been 2014. I don't know why. I've always kind of felt like 2014, as someone who watches a lot of movies and reviews a lot of movies, like dates just start popping up, right? Yeah. So now I've definitely seen more movies and reviewed more movies from like more recent years, just because when I started doing this in 2019, so 2014 was 5 years before that, but I just kind of had a feeling that it was a really good year, and my inclination was like kind of right, because I even looked at least the movies I had reviewed for both years, and 2014 and 1999 are about the same when I average the scores. Yeah. So some hits from 2014.
And real quick, just before we get into that, I'm curious.
Yeah.
So did you grade this purely on films that you liked, or were there any other sort of guidelines, any other standards?
No, I included all movies that I've seen and reviewed.
Right. So, but did you take into account other factors like, did this movie win the most Oscars for that time, or did it break any like? Are there any other things that kind of factored into why you thought a year was a standout year for film?
Yeah, like for instance, I'm not the biggest fan of The Matrix, but I know that it's iconic and really set the tone for so much of action / sci-fi that came out after that. So like this isn't an exact science. This is more of just like vibes. Again, 1999 was a great year.
Sure.
But I think 2014 goes under the radar because even these lists that had like 15 years or more, like they don't have 2014. So did you have 2014 or no?
No, I didn't.
So let me just read some of the titles that came out that year.
Yeah.
Again, I love, so you have Nightcrawler, you have Birdman, which that won Best Picture, if I remember correctly.
Yep.
Force Majeure, which is an awesome movie. I think it's Swedish, Danish, one of those. They redid it in America, and I don't think it's very good, but this one is fantastic. The first John Wick, Gone Girl, Interstellar, Grand Budapest Hotel. Those I think are all my 5-star. Okay, John Wick was 4.5 star. Like that has my favorite Wes Anderson movie. It has Nightcrawler is fantastic. I think one of the like more unique movies. Oh, also It Follows, like a really cool horror movie.
Yep.
It has Gone Girl, one of the Nightcrawler and Gone Girl. Nightcrawler's not what's his name? Not the same director, right? He didn't have 2 movies in a year. Who did Nightcrawler?
I don't remember, but he's the same guy who did a movie that I did not like.
What's that?
That satirical art movie, that art horror film.
Oh, Velvet. Dan
Velvet
Gilroy.
Buzzsaw.
Dan Gilroy. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's not the same director of. I always blank with names on the fucking podcast. As Gone Girl.
That was David Fincher.
Yeah. David Fincher. Yeah. Awesome movie. Like one of those rare movies that's as good, if not better, than the book.
Interesting.
Yeah, like for instance, another Gillian Flynn movie was Dark Places, or book and movie, and the book's great, and the movie sucks. So that's just an example because it's the same writer. So I don't know, like that to me is just a really underrated year, and I'm sure I'm missing some. And also some other, I loved Chef, which is like a feel good movie that I really enjoyed. Selma is about, obviously Martin Luther King Jr., which was, I think, really well done. A Most Wanted Man was pretty good. That's, I think, one of the last Philip Seymour Hoffman movies. The Skeleton Twins I have also. Now, my 2014 rank was kind of pulled down a little by a really, really bad Greek movie I saw that I rated. It's called The First Line. It fucking sucks. It's so bad. But anyway, so I don't want to take up too much time. So 2014 was kind of my dark horse. So why don't you discuss a year?
Yeah. So I'm going with 1994.
Okay. Yeah.
And so this, so I picked 3 specific years, and I picked these based on movies that like I love, films that were highly acclaimed and are still like beloved, and movies that were also like very influential, or like a movie that kind of marked like a turning point in film history in some form. And so I picked 1994 because Tarantino, Pulp Fiction came out. That was his first studio film. And not only was it his first studio film, it was actually a hit. It was actually it grossed over $100 million, which is pretty unique for an R-rated, semi-experimental, crime movie where it's, or at least non-linear. Like nobody had really seen a movie that had a plot like that in a mainstream setting. So that really kickstarted. I think that really proved that like independent filmmakers was like the new gold mine for a lot of major studios, because also that same year was Clerks. That was when that came out. And even though it wasn't like a box office success,
iconic New Jersey movie.
Right, which is one of the few things that New Jersey can. Well, like if you watch that YouTube short video I sent you, you'll see that there's something else about New Jersey that
what YouTube short video
I sent it to you a week ago, and you were watching a movie. She's like, "Oh yeah, I'll check it out later," and then I doubt you did.
I did not check it out.
Yeah, you should. Trust me.
Okay.
Trust me, it'll make you proud.
I will. I don't things that I don't remember. I don't remember that happening. Like I don't remember you sending it to me.
You were watching a movie, but then like the movie froze, and then you started watching another movie.
Oh, that was like 2 weeks ago. I think.
I know. Yeah. Thanks, friend.
Well, I'll check it out.
So Clerks came out, and even though that wasn't like a box office smash hit, it was also it's become a big cult film, and it launched Kevin Smith, and also like that was sort of like another piece of like proof of concept that indie filmmakers were like the wave of the future. Also for Tarantino that year, that was Natural Born Killers that came out. So he wrote the script, and then Oliver Stone completely rewrote it and turned it into something else. And Tarantino has been kind of, he's had kind of a warm, he's been kind of lukewarm on how he feels about it. But it was still a pretty like I watched the movie a few years ago or rewatched it rather, and I was struck. I'm like, it's a pretty killer and also like very like prescient film with regards to how the media like how manipulative the media can be.
Right.
Let's see what else. So in terms of acclaimed movies that year, The Shawshank Redemption and Forrest Gump. So Forrest Gump swept the Academy Awards that year. The Shawshank Redemption was a flop, and it's funny because it's such a beloved movie today, but that was a huge flop when it came out. But word of mouth, that's one of those movies where it ended up becoming more profitable within like a year after it was released because people were talking about it so much, and it became, so it actually ended up becoming a profit after that. Also, Forrest Gump is interesting. So I'm a big fan of the visual effects company Industrial Light and Magic, which is the one that George Lucas founded for Star Wars.
Okay.
That was the first movie where because at that time it was like, oh, special effects are just for action, sci-fi, fantasy movies, right? That was like the first movie because it's just a historical drama, basically.
Yeah.
That was the first movie where it had a lot of extensive visual effects. And then we won the Oscar for visual effects that year. But it was all about putting Tom Hanks in historical footage and blending it in seamlessly with historical footage, digitally removing a lot of stuff, like doing a lot of like, like all the Vietnam War stuff, all the explosions and stunts, but doing that like, like using CGI to blend the two elements together. So that was like, oh, like CGI can be more than just,
do you
aliens.
Do you like Forrest Gump?
It's fine. I mean, it's a okay movie.
I like it. I feel like it gets a lot of hate, and I don't really know why.
Well, what's her Jenny like? Isn't she now considered to be like the main villain of that?
Well, yeah, yes, she's awful and definitely like, yeah, I love the meme. I was like, bye, Forrest. I'll be back. I'm a single mother with AIDS.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, she's awful.
I mean, it's a schmaltzy feel good movie, but it is a well made feel good movie.
I think it's fun. I think it's unique. I don't know, and
it's a nice movie, and it's got a cool premise. And mixing this fictional character with all these big historical events is really fun to watch. I mean, the only other time I'll ever watch it again is if like I'm with a group of friends and majority rule. But
Chick wants you to watch it.
Yeah, no, then I'll watch it. Then it's my favorite movie.
That's your favorite movie.
The Lion King came out in 1994, so that was when the Disney was like full on with the Renaissance. That was also the highest grossing animated film of all time up until 2003's Finding Nemo, I believe. But in terms of just movies that I love that came out from that year, like just sort of like honorable mentions, True Lies. I love James Cameron and Schwarzenegger, and that's a really fun action comedy. And Speed. I love
Speed. I love Speed. Speed holds a very near and dear place in my heart because it was like for some reason it was like the only R-rated movie my dad would let us watch.
Yeah.
And we watched it so much.
Yeah.
Speed so often. I feel like, and that's, I don't know. I feel like that's something that's kind of lost on today's generation, like Gen Z. Understandably, because there's so many options,
right?
We're like back in 2002, we're 12 years old, maybe before that, saying like the late 90s.
Yeah,
you can basically watch what's on TV or what movies you have, what VHSs you have, and so we would rewatch movies. That's why I've seen Monty Python and the Holy Grail 1,000 times and Starship Troopers 1,000 times.
Yeah.
Because that's just like what we had.
Yeah.
So Speed was one of those in the rotation movies.
Yeah. And those types of movies
very special.
Felt like an event too. And also just because I mean like the look, the cinematography of action,
ridiculous concept. Ridiculous.
But here's the thing, like they had like the stupidest concepts, but like because like they put so much heart into it, and like I feel like every time one of those movies was being made, like there would be a news story like, oh, like for this movie they're actually blowing up a building for a stunt, or they're actually going to crash a plane for this. So like movies like Con Air and The Rock and Speed, where I mean it's like, and also like of course I'll always have a special place in my heart for movies that take place in LA. I mean it's just like, again, like the cinematography, like
there's only a handful of them, so
I know. But I mean like just because like it just captures like that bright sunny summer look, so it's like, oh, this is like a total like summer, like the perfect summer popcorn movie.
So Speed, I also like LA movies, by the way. Like I do like movies that take place in LA. They tell you they take place in LA. I grew up, we all did as Americans and in the world. It's like that. That's what I liked about mid-90s, that movie Mid-90s.
Oh, was it the Jonah Hill?
Did he direct? Yeah, he directed it. Yeah. Like the skater kids. To me, it's like skater kids in LA in the mid-90s. They're like calling each other gay and stuff like that. It's like it's very much. I also wanted to be like that. Like I wanted to be a skater kid, surfer in Southern California. Same with like Lords of Dogtown, like that kind of stuff. Just like LA movies.
Yeah. And obviously, I'm biased in that regard, but any movie where it's like where they shot on location and they used it well, because if they shot a movie in New Jersey, but they just shot it in like a generic neighborhood, you're just like, well, this could be any neighborhood. But if they shot like in a specific part of Jersey, we're like, oh, like I know that area, and they captured the look and the feel and the types of people who hang out there so fucking well. It was like, oh, I'm into this. This is unique. This is interesting.
Yeah.
So a lot of action movies in the 90s that were shot in LA were like, oh, like cool, like you shot in iconic spots, you shot with like bright sunlight and palm trees. It's like you really got into like that. So Speed. Oh, and then what was the other one that I put down? Leon the Professional.
Yeah, I was gonna say Leon the Professional. That's a good one.
Yeah. So 94 was a pretty big year, I think, pretty terrific year. Yeah. Oh, and then there's also the year that Steven Spielberg, Jeffrey Katzenberg, and David Geffen launched DreamWorks. So it's also just kind of a big turning point for
some other 94 movies that I have on my list. The Crow.
Oh yeah, that's a good one. Yeah.
Crow, give that an 84. Rest in peace, Brandon Lee. I had Leon the Professional, 82. Quiz Show.
Oh, I haven't seen that one.
I think it's Ray Fiennes. It's like the guy who's cheating on the quiz show. Spoiler. Came out 30 years ago.
Based on a true story, wasn't it? I
think so. I can't remember exactly. It was a very good movie. What else? Oh, and then I had one more. What was it? Oh, Chungking Express. You ever seen Chungking Express?
No, I haven't.
It's a great movie. Yeah, Hong Kong movie. Really, it's a Wong Kar-wai. Yeah, it's an excellent movie. Highly recommend it. It has like a 4.3 on Letterboxd. That's super high. Let me see what I gave it. I can't remember, but it's very cool.
1994 was also a breakout year for Jim Carrey because he released not one, not two, but three blockbuster films: Dumb and Dumber, Ace Ventura, Pet Detective, and The Mask, all in 1994. Like holy shit! Like what a breakout year for an actor.
Big year for. Are those good movies? I don't know about that.
I mean, I'm nostalgic about them. I mean, it's like I think they're objectively kind of very dumb, but like it's one of those movies where it's like I watched those movies on repeat when I was 6-7 years old.
So my brother was a big Ace Ventura guy, and just Jim Carrey guy, and he's like, I remember like 10 years ago. So he was probably in his like late 20s or so, maybe early 30s. I don't know exactly when this was. He's like, yeah, I went back and watched them, and tough to watch. Yeah, like they're tough. All right,
one more movie from that year. Ed Wood. Tim Burton's Ed Wood.
Yeah, I've had that on my list for like the longest time, and I just can't find it. Like I just can't get it on streaming.
I love it. It's it's terrific. It's also the first one of the and also one of the only Tim Burton films that Danny Elfman did not score. They were going through some kind of feud at that time, so it is interesting. I wish I don't remember the composer. They did a decent job, but Danny Elfman's touch was needed for that film. But overall, that's a great one. It's about filmmaking. It's takes place in LA in the 1950s. So it's about like the schlocky horror director. So it's got a lot of stuff you'll love in it. So
yeah, I definitely want to see it.
Your turn.
2007 was an interesting year that I kind of didn't think of. So I know a movie that I absolutely love is Superbad. To me, that movie just epitomized millennial high school culture. Trying to like find someone to like trying to get rides, trying to find someone to like buy alcohol, a house to party. Like the way that they talk and what they care about, it's so vapid, and it's about like getting a girlfriend before college, so you can hook up a bunch, so you're not like a noob in college,
Right.
and like go. It is definitely very much a certain class of people. So like it's all, they're going to Dartmouth or they're all like middle class, like very middle class high school. But that's I grew up like upper middle class high school to even like like a lot of rich kids. So it's that kind of thing, like and I just always like it's just like one like it makes me feel very good. I'm trying to pull up my list here. Give me a sec. Let me see what they have for, because I think you nailed them all for 1994. Oh, No Country for Old Men. Absolute banger.
Yep.
Just Anton Chigurh. To this day, one of my favorite scenes in that movie is how he does like the coin flip thing.
Yeah.
So when he goes into the gas station and he flips the coin for the gas, and basically if you call it, you live. If you miss, you die. And the way that he his like attitude towards it, how it's kind of like he has stake in the game, where he's like, call it, like as if he's not in total control of this and he could just not do it. But I just like Javier Bardem's performance in that is so incredible, and that scene shows it, how like he's not just this automaton. He actually like, it's one of those things that's hard to describe because it's not the scariest scene at all. It's just the way he goes about it. I just absolutely I think about that scene fairly often.
Right.
Okay, I'm trying to pull up 2007 here. I know another one I can just look at is.
Let me guess. You're thinking of Spider-Man 3? Is that the one you're thinking of?
I was not thinking of Spider-Man 3. Did that come out that year? Wait, which one? Spider-Man 3?
That's the one with it's the one with the Venom and that guy from that 70s show.
I know. Oh, Topher Grace. Oh my god! Wait, but that's the one. Wait, is Spider-Man 3 the one where I think has a line that my friends and I always say, where it's James Franco and a waitress comes up to him and goes, "How's the pie?" And he's like, "Eat the pie." He's like, "Oh, so good." Is that Spider-Man 3?
Yeah, that's Spider-Man 3.
Okay. I wasn't sure if it's 2 or 3. Oh, so good.
It's quite the turning point in pop culture.
Amazing line though. Zodiac is another one. So I gave
Zodiac was good. I love that one.
Zodiac rules. Yeah. I gave Zodiac in 90s 5-star. The thing I do remember liking Zodiac more the first time I saw it. I didn't like it as much, and actually to this day, if you follow me on Twitter, my Twitter pic is Jake Gyllenhaal with the Aqua Velva from Zodiac. Like that's what it's from. And I've had that for probably almost a decade now. That's my picture.
So an interesting fact about that movie is that movie starred Robert Downey Jr. and that came out a year before his second, sort of renaissance as Iron Man in 2008.
That's right. It did come out before Iron Man. That's weird.
Yeah.
I didn't think of that.
And one of my favorite scenes from that movie is Gyllenhaal's character is at the San Francisco Chronicle, and he's talking to that old guy, and he goes, "Hey, so why do they call you Bubba?" And the old guy's just reading his newspaper, and he goes, "Why do they call you retard?" And he goes, "They don't call me retard." And he goes, "Uh-huh." And then he goes to Robert Downey Jr.'s character, and he goes, "Hey, so do you guys have a nickname for me when I'm not around?" And then Robert Downey Jr. goes, "What, you mean like retard?" No.
It's good. Yeah, that movie's great. All right, some others. So 30 Days of Night, I'd like to talk. I've talked about that movie on this pod before. It's like one of my favorite underrated horror movies. Definitely my type of vampires, really kind of disturbing stuff.
Yeah.
Instead of the horny ones from like Twilight and whatnot. So a movie that I know a lot of people really love, but I didn't. So like it still goes in this year as kind of like why this year is a highly rated year would be Sunshine. You ever seen Sunshine?
No, I haven't. Is that the one with Cillian Murphy?
Yes. Yes. Yeah. I really hated the ending and I thought it just kind of, I don't know, it just got away from, to me, like the sci-fi parts of it, and I thought it was okay, but I know that a lot of people really enjoy it.
Well, I'm going to say something even more controversial. A movie from that year that I know people love, that I think is is
I think I know what you're going to say, but don't
The
say it.
Departed.
Oh, okay. Well, I didn't.
What did you think I was going to say? Pirates of the Caribbean at World's End. Is that what you were saying? No, actually, that's my favorite one, Ben. No, yeah, The Departed came out that year, and that was the only time that Scorsese won an Oscar for directing. And a lot of people thought that was sort of like a legacy, like, okay, can we just finally give it to him already? Because he did Taxi Driver, he got nothing. He did, Raging Bull, he got nothing.
Wait, he did win the Oscar for that.
Yeah, for the Departed.
Right,
so can we just give it to him already? So I think The Departed was. And here's the thing. So I the first time I watched it, I didn't care for it. The second time I watched it, I was like, it's okay. The third time I watched it, I'm like, okay, I'm starting to like it. I think maybe just seeing a lot of non-Bostonian actors doing over-the-top Bostonian accents.
Yeah.
I think maybe it's just a little too much for me at that. And I think also just sort of like, I don't know, maybe like Jack Nicholson as the villain, where it's like, that's very, I don't know, he hams it up a little too much, and it's just sort of like.
It's fun. I wasn't even really thinking about that as a top movie. Like, so yeah, I haven't seen it in a while.
I like it, and maybe because it took me 3 times before, like, and each time I like it a little bit more and more. So maybe there's something about it I'm missing. But I'm just like, how come you gave Scorsese the Oscar for that? He's done so many other better movies. Why give it to him for that?
It's like when they gave Leo the Oscar for The Revenant.
And all he did was grunt for an hour, 2.5 hours, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. Trying to look. Oh, so this kind of rounds out, I think, the trifecta of like Zodiac, No Country for Old Men, and then there's There Will Be Blood, which has one of my favorite scenes.
P.T. Barnum.
And what about him? Is he in that?
Didn't he direct that?
P.T. Barnum? No, isn't that?
Who directed that?
You mean Paul Thomas Anderson?
Ah, yes, P.T. Anderson, right?
Yeah, P.T. Barnum. I was like, the circus guy? Are you joking? I can't tell. I was like, what?
I was until you took it seriously.
Oh, because I was like, wait, P.T. Barnum, what the fuck are you talking about? I see what you did there. I Drink Your Milkshake scene is one of my favorites. I know it's a classic. So I'm looking over to 2007 might be one of my favorite years. Actually, I'm looking at it.
Yeah, you got Shrek the Third, Transformers.
Yeah, you're full
National Treasure, Book of Secrets. A lot of big.
Oh, the National Treasure. That's actually a great movie.
Well, it's the sequel. It's Book of Secrets.
Oh, never mind. Okay.
300 came out. That was Zack Snyder.
Death Proof and Planet Terror. Which
that's right. Grindhouse. Yeah.
This French animated movie called Persepolis, which is about like the Iranian Revolution. I remember loving. I watched that for the first time a few years ago. One of my favorite horror movies and zombie movies I've talked about a bunch on this podcast is Wreck, the Spanish zombie one that they remade into Quarantine.
Oh, right.
Which wasn't nearly as good, but Wreck fucking rules. Great. And I think I rewatched it again recently. So good.
Yeah.
2007's up there actually for me. Now I'm looking.
And this is a serious addition to that. Pan's Labyrinth came out that year.
Yeah. Wait, it did? Pan's Labyrinth came out that year?
Yeah.
You sure it's not 2006?
Oh wait, no, you're right. It is 2006. It won the Oscar in 2007. But forget it.
I did watch, and there's some other like good movies, but then this movie Funny Games I hated. That's kind of pulling that score down. I don't know.
Funny Games.
There's a remake, I think, of a Danish movie. It's just torture porn. It sucks.
Oh.
I hated it. So don't watch it. All right, we can move on. What's your next year?
I'm going with 1977.
Okay.
Star Wars Episode 4: A New Hope came out that year.
Yeah.
So that was like the highest grossing film of all time.
Yeah, small indie film.
Yeah. Close Encounters of the Third Kind. And it's funny because Spielberg and Lucas are friends, and they've been friends with each other forever, like well before those movies came out. And they both competed against each other, and they both at the Oscars for sci-fi films for like best director, best picture. So so I thought that was a funny little tidbit. They both lost to another film that I thought was pretty great that came out in '77, which is Annie Hall.
Yeah, Annie Hall's great.
Yeah, Woody Allen.
Yeah, I'm looking. Eraserhead.
I was getting there. Eraserhead. So that was David Lynch's first feature-length film.
Yeah, there's a whole episode on it. What else do you got? I won't cut you off.
Suspiria came out that year.
Yeah, Suspiria.
Yeah,
I know it's like Dario Argento's baby, but
yeah,
I don't think I did. Yeah, I actually gave it an 83.
Yeah,
I remember. Yeah, it had some things that annoy me, but yes, it's a very, very, very good movie.
He was inspired by the color palette of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, the original, like the first Disney film.
Okay.
And when you watch the movie, it's very vivid and very vibrant. It's almost cartoony.
It's quite vibrant.
Yeah. So I've only seen parts of this movie, but I know it's very culturally relevant.
Mm-hmm.
Saturday Night Fever came out in '77.
Yeah. I've seen it. I don't think I've rated it. It was a long time ago.
Yeah. The Rescuers, the Disney film. So the reason why I brought that up.
Oh, The Rescuers is great.
Yeah, I liked it as a kid. It's been way too long since I've seen it to actually give like a better review of it. But that came out during a time when Disney was not really making animated movies very much. They were mostly doing live action at the time. So a lot of people at that time were thinking, yeah, Disney's not, they're not doing animation anymore. They've the last few animated movies flopped. And that movie was sort of like a return to classic Disney. So that kind of, I think, set the stage for the Renaissance about a decade or so later. Yeah, I think that's about all I had for '77. I'm sure there were some other good movies. But yeah, I mean,
let me share some.
Yeah.
Strozek, which I just read Werner Herzog's book.
Yeah.
And I watched a bunch of Werner Herzog movies, and that's my favorite one. That movie's fantastic.
Which one is that? What's the log line for that?
Strozek is the one where it's like a guy gets out of jail and he's an alcoholic and kind of like a street performer type guy, but it's sort of like a derelict basically. And he shacks up with a prostitute and then his landlord, who's like this kind of old wonky guy. And so it's like weird group of people, and they're in Germany, and then they move to Wisconsin because the landlord has a nephew there or something. And it's a really dark movie, but it's just like really touching and great acting, and I loved it. Like I gave 5 stars. It's a very, very good movie.
Interesting. Yeah, I got to delve more deeply into Herzog's. I've only watched Nosferatu.
I actually haven't seen his Nosferatu. That's on my list too.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Sorcerer. Who?
Yeah, that's the one with the truck on the bridge.
Yep, classic, iconic
poster.
Scene. Yeah. That's a great one. Which is Exorcist.
William Friedkin.
William Friedkin.
Or William Friedkin. Yeah, as
Rolling Thunder, which we love.
Oh yeah.
That's a great movie. That's
Tarantino recommendation.
Classic. Yeah.
Thanks,
classic,
QT.
Yeah, classic revenge-o-matic. And then a few talking about, there's 2 movies I have here that I didn't like, but I could see why. Like I've even actually seen them listed on some of these lists. One is House. It's a Japanese horror movie.
Oh, have you seen that? Have you watched that? I haven't seen it.
Yeah, I've seen it. I didn't like it. I gave it like 50 something, but
it looks nuts though.
It's very nuts. It has some really cool effects, but it just goes bonkers, and I don't know. I didn't like it by the end. It became kind of tedious, but some people pick it as like one of their top movies. Right. Like a lot of, what's that series where there's always like a director or an actor, and they're in like this big closet with DVDs and like picking movies off the shelf, and like
the Criterion collection thing.
Yeah. Well, I know some people pick House. It's not for me. Then another one is, have you ever seen Wizards by Ralph Bakshi?
No, I haven't, but I heard that's an interesting one because he mostly started off doing like adult animated films.
Well, this one is pretty adult in some ways. This one, like, it's one of those movies that I want to love. Mm-hmm. Like, I want to love it so bad. It's like dueling wizard brothers. One's evil, one's good. and has an awesome movie poster with this like Boba Fett like character in red who's riding some animal with peace on the back, but he's a hunter. So it's ironic, and it's like it's like an anthology type thing, and it's just, I don't know, I couldn't get into it. But it's like late 70s animation, which sometimes isn't the best, but it's fine. Like they just didn't have it then, but I don't know. I remember not really liking it. And I think I just felt really let down. I was like, oh, I thought this was going to be so much better, because it is a famous, iconic movie for a lot of people. Yeah. All right. Let's see. You want to do a couple more years?
Yeah, I got one more year. You got one? I think it's your turn.
Is yours 2001?
No.
Okay. Then I'll say 2001. Because there's a bunch here I could go off of, but I remember 2001 was pretty good. But let me pull it up real quick. Let's see. So Monsters Inc., which is to this day my favorite Pixar movie.
It's a good one.
Yeah, I love it.
The Lord of the Rings. Come on.
Yeah, that was that Fellowship was 2001?
Fellowship, yep.
Fellowship.
First one, yeah.
Spirited Away, another that's to this day my favorite Studio Ghibli animated movie. I like it even more than a lot of people pick Princess Mononoke. I like Spirited Away more. Mulholland Drive, which we loved. Moulin Rouge, which I actually love. I think it's I like Baz Luhrmann. I think some people don't care for it, but I like his style. I always say I like a director where you don't tell me who's directed this movie and I go, oh, is this so and so? I like that. I think that's fun. It's like an authorship.
Yeah.
Let's see what else we got here.
Rush Hour 2.
Rush Hour 2. I liked
The Mummy Returns.
Some people might consider it kind of cheating. I really liked Waking Life. Have you ever seen Waking Life?
I don't think so. No.
It's who did Dazed and Confused.
Oh, Richard Linklater.
It's a Linklater movie where it's just kind of a movie of people talking, like philosophy, like philosophical things. It's just kind of like rolling around Austin, and it has this animation where it's like the animation is on top of them. I don't know what it's called exactly. I mean, I could look into my
rotoscoping, I think.
Yes, that is what it is. Rotoscoping. So I'm sure some people be like, oh, it's not real animation. Like, fuck, whatever. I don't care. It's an interesting movie. I like stuff like that. I like philosophical movies where you can think about them, and it just felt like something different. I thought that was cool. Frailty, which I think we did a whole episode on Frailty, right?
I don't think so. No.
No?
No, I brought up during horror stuff, but
okay. Well, Frailty.
Well, real quick about the rotoscoping thing, I would consider it to be animation, because I mean,
cool.
Because I mean, like, that's been done for decades. I mean, like, before the advent of CGI, like, I mean, like, a lot of Disney films had. So, for example, like, there would be like a dancing scene in like Cinderella or Alice's Adventures, Alice in Wonderland, where it's like they would shoot, like young women, dancing or interact stuff, and they just animate on top of it. And also, like, a lot of, like, famous artists and painters have used models. So it's sort of like, it's not just from the imagination. So yeah, I mean, fuck people who say rotoscoping is not real. I just want to defend this. Like, no, rotoscoping is like there's technique behind it. Like, it's a legit form of animation.
So yeah, maybe maybe 2001's not as strong as I thought. I know it's like definitely a big pop culture one.
Yeah.
Amelie is great. Shrek, of course.
Oh yeah.
But
well, I mean, that was like Shrek proved that DreamWorks could compete with Pixar in terms of like like entertaining digitally animated entertainment, and I remember like being blown away when Shrek came out. Like, that was because at the time I was like, oh, Pixar rules. But when I watched Shrek, I was like, oh, this is pretty cool too. Like, all right, interesting. So, well, it's funny because like, and then Lord Farquaad, was based on Eisner, or
it is. Yes.
Yeah. So DreamWorks was founded by co-founded by Katzenberg, who worked at Disney, and I think it's Eisner, who would like, who's known to be kind of a tyrant, and he's the head of Disney or he was the head of Disney for a long
Mhm.
time. So they based
Mhm.
Lord Farquaad's like appearance on Michael Eisner. I think it's Eisner. But
Okay.
when you look at it, and they've denied it, but when you look at it, you're like, no, it's obviously him. Like you guys were taking a shot at
Yeah.
your old boss there. So which I think is funny, but hey, well, I mean, like The Mummy Returns came out that year, Jurassic Park 3, and
I like The Mummy Returns. I remember loving that movie.
me too. I think
Yeah.
I mean the first one rocks. The second one's not as good, but I still kind of dig the second one. It's still a fun, goofy, Indiana Jones type of movie. Dude, I remember so when I was like 10 or 11 years old, I went through this phase of being a huge fan of Planet of the Apes. Like the original one. I love it because AMC was showing them, and I was like, I'm a huge fan of Roddy McDowall and this that.
Mhm.
And then so when it was announced that Tim Burton was going to remake the Planet of the Apes, which came out in 2001, like me and my dad were super stoked, and I remember like both of us were just like really trying to like that movie.
Mhm.
And it's a horrible movie. It's a garbage movie. But like I remember both of us were just like we're like, hey, it's Tim Burton, it's the Planet of the Apes. We both love it. It's got so many things where so many things that you would expect would add up to something great, and then end up just being a total shit fest.
Yeah.
Planet of the Apes was that.
I remember watching it, and I think I've gone on this rant on this podcast before. I really dislike apes.
Yeah.
But like really dislike them as an animal. So
How do you feel about gorillas though? They're
gorillas
not
are
apes
cool.
though, right?
Yeah, gorillas are all right. I
like silverbacks. Silverbacks are pretty
Yeah,
cool.
gorillas are cool. So looking this over, actually, I won't go into it because I just did a turn. But 2019, way better movie year than 2001.
Oh, okay.
So I'll let you go though.
Yeah.
What year do you have?
Yeah, for my last year, I picked 1975. So Jaws came out that year, which was it wasn't Spielberg's first studio movie, but it was his biggest. I think technically it was the second because I think Sugarland Express was done by or at least distributed by a big studio. But Jaws, not only is it like a famous movie and it catapulted John Williams to the masses as well, that that much deserved Oscar winning score. But it also like that was like the first like, oh, summer is the best time to release movies. We need to release movies that will appeal to large audiences in the summer. And that movie was like perfect for that
time.
Yeah. Like I mean, if anything, so this is actually timely. It's his 40th, like a week ago was its 40th anniversary, I think. It came out late June. Everyone's out of school. People are taking vacations off. It's right before 4th of July. So it's like everyone's just like in fun party mode, 1975. And Jaws comes out and like it's a huge. And also, I just watched a video where it's like, so that movie was based on the book by Peter Benchley. And apparently the studio put a lot of money promoting the novel like 6 months or a year before the movie came out, just to get people excited. And I heard the novel isn't even that great, but it was a bestseller. And so it's like, hey, if you love the book, then you'll love the movie. So like,
based on incidents that happened in New Jersey.
Yeah. I mean, I think people don't really give a shit about that.
Massachusetts taking all our glory. It's New Jersey attacked by sharks.
But also that came out that year. One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Milos Forman. Great film.
I've always said is probably it might be my favorite movie.
Yeah. And then
tough to pick a favorite, but yeah.
What's his face? The stuttering guy was nominated for an Oscar for that. And it's funny because like he's been in a bunch of big
Billy
Babbitt.
Yeah. The character.
That actor, I forgot his name, but he played the voice of Chucky and he played like Grimworm or whatever in Lord of the Rings.
The voice of Chucky.
Yeah.
I thought the voice of Chucky was Mark Hamill.
No, just for that one movie. But like for up until that, like all the movies done before that and all of them, like the TV show was done by Brad Dourif.
Oh, okay.
Which is funny. He got an Oscar nomination for that role in 1975. And it's weird because he's mostly done, other than Chucky, like the Chucky franchise and the Lord of the Rings, he's mostly done kind of lower budget or independent films, or just kind of like character actor type stuff. It's like he's actually a terrific actor. He's an Oscar nominated actor, but he's just kind of known. He's more known, I think, for doing the voice of Chucky. But he's a terrific actor, and he was wonderful in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. What else came out in 75?
Barry Lyndon.
Yes,
love it, dude. That movie is so underrated.
Yeah, it's terrific. The first time I watched it, I was like, it's good. It's long, but it's good. And then I watched it. If anything, that's happened to me for pretty much all of Kubrick's films, where it's like the first time you watch it, like it's cool, it's a little cerebral, it takes getting used to, but then you watch it again, you're like, oh, there's so much about this I missed.
Because
Barry Lyndon is
Kubrick
so
might,
good.
yeah, it's tough because like Tarantino, like even the bottom of their filmography for me is like still very high.
It's still
As
above
far-
average. It's still
well
better
above
than
average. Yeah, like I think Death Proof is my lowest Tarantino movie. It's like an 84 for me. So it's like a 4.5 star movie. So like, but Barry Lyndon, I remember loving and I had seen Full Metal Jacket several times, Clockwork Orange several times, 2001: A Space Odyssey several times, and the only Kubrick I didn't really like, which I am willing to give it another shot, is Eyes Wide Shut.
That one for me gets better with
yeah, okay,
multiple viewings.
Okay,
And also, I've watched a few videos
shot.
where it's like it kind of
Yeah.
zeroes in on some other details. You're like, oh, I didn't notice that the first time. Okay, I need to watch it again.
I just listened to a podcast about it. I think that's why. So besides that, though, and even that I might like upon a rewatch, but Barry Lyndon rules, and I feel like it's like the forgotten Kubrick movie.
Yeah, and it's funny because that film came out. This is the reason he did that was because he was going to do a Napoleon movie, but and he
Right.
put years into like research and studying Napoleon's life, and then a different studio ended up doing a Napoleon movie. Like, and then so he's like, well, shit, what am I going to do with it?
Yeah.
So he ended up doing another film that still came out that took place in a similar time period. So he's like, okay, well, I did all this research into what life was like. And
the Waterloo come out that year?
No, it came in the early 70s, I think, like 72 or 73, I think.
Oh, okay.
So when he found out that somebody else was going to do Waterloo, then he's like, well, all right, well, I've done all this research into Europe, European culture during that late 1700s, early 1800s. Sure, okay, Barry Lyndon.
Yeah,
I guess
there's a time period for me which like I don't really care for. Like I think that's why I liked it so much too, because it was already like that doesn't really appeal to me. Like I love Middle Ages stuff. I love ancient history. I love modern. So it's like kind of that like that neoclassical early modern period. I don't really like it. So the fact that it was so good was also nice because it's like, oh, if I like this, and maybe I like other stuff from this time period.
So another reason why I love that movie so much. So at the time, lenses were not good enough to pick up like low light environments. And there's not a single time in that movie where they used any studio lighting. They used all natural lighting. And the reason why they were able to pull it off, Stanley Kubrick had to get a lens that was used for like space photography.
Yeah, he petitioned NASA, right, or something.
Yeah, and so like the scenes that take place at night, and it's all just candlelit. There are no studio lights whatsoever. So like that was the only way to do it, was to get like the super expensive German-made, NASA used lens.
Famously in the card playing scene, is excellent, where it's like it's almost like flicker, like the scene's almost like flickering, and it's just like people barely missing each other's eye contact, and it's a really, really beautiful and
almost every shot in that movie is fantastic because it's all natural lighting. But in order to do that, like they had to shoot at the perfect time of day, in this beautiful part of Europe with valleys and hills. They only shot like on location, very few studio sets. Like almost every single shot in the movie, you can pause it and it'll look like a painting.
Oh, what the fuck? Sorry.
No.
Monty Python and the Holy Grail is 1975?
Yes.
Oh my God. And it's not even mentioned.
Yeah.
It's not even, it is mentioned in here. Okay. You were getting to that.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Dude, 1975 rules.
Yeah. 75 was a great year.
Nice pick.
Yeah. Some other honorable mentions. So I don't like musicals, but the Rocky Horror Picture Show came out that year.
I've seen it. It's fun. I like some of the music. It's definitely weird.
One interesting, so not super related to movie theaters, but like, so the first American film review show premieres and launches the careers of critics Gene Siskel and Roger Ebert. That came out in 1975. So I know Roger Ebert. I know like a lot of people don't like him because of the way he came off on the show, but he was a fantastic writer.
People don't like Roger Ebert.
He came off really fucking snobby in a lot of
Really? Oh, I didn't know
yeah.
that. Oh yeah, I
He can be pretty condescending. But I love I even have a book of his reviews just because his writing is so fantastic.
yeah, of course. Whenever I go to look at reviews before I write mine and I see one of his, of course I read it.
Oh,
An
yeah,
older
yeah.
movie, of course. He passed away.
I think it was like 2011 or 2012.
Yeah.
I know it was right. I remember it was the year that the Evil Dead remake came out. So 2013, maybe?
I thought that was like 2016. No.
No, it was a little before. Because I remember even Obama like honored him and said, like, Roger Ebert was the movie sort of thing.
Gotcha.
So it's definitely well into his administration. But yeah, I just remember there's this one line. So there was some independent film called The Brown Bunny that Roger Ebert reviewed, and he gave it a negative review.
Give it a negative review. Yeah, well that doesn't Chloe 70 give a like a real one.
Yeah, exactly. So he gave the film, the first cut, a negative review, but then the director he ended up like cutting out a big chunk of it, not based on Roger Ebert's review, but like if anything, he was actually offended by Roger Ebert. He supposedly put a curse on Roger Ebert's colon. At least that's what he told everybody. I'm dead serious. Yeah, that's what he said. But then, so that same director, he re-released The Brown Bunny with like 30 minutes less, and it was a tighter film. Roger Ebert ended up giving it a good review, and he said he's got this great quote from one of his from his review from it. It was something like, they say that editing is the soul of film. In this case, in The Brown Bunny's case, it was its salvation. I'm like, oh my god, that's what a great little line that was. But yeah,
Vincent Gallo directed it too. Okay. Yeah.
But yeah, Roger Ebert, yeah, that was when he hit the mainstream. He hit the TV wave. So
I got to see The Brown Bunny.
Yeah,
because that movie comes up a bunch.
It was a pretty controversial movie, but
yeah.
Anyway, 75, yeah, Monty Python. A couple of movies that I have not seen yet, but I want to see that came out that year: Dog Day Afternoon and Nashville.
Well, I haven't seen Nashville, but Dog Day Afternoon's great.
Oh, nice.
It's obviously Pacino and
Sarandon,
Ghazali, yeah, and it's it's about, right?
Yeah, it's based on a true story too, right?
Yeah, it's like a botched bank robbery. It's great. Yeah.
What's the famous line from that movie? Is that the whole system's corrupt or whatever, or what's?
I think you're thinking of the You're Out of Order, but that's
a
different movie. It's
still Pacino though.
It's still Pacino. The famous line is Attica. Attica.
That's right.
Yeah, because the Attica prison revolt or whatever. Yeah.
Interestingly enough, like Chris Sarandon's career kind of paralleled Brad Dourif's, where it's like he had an auspicious debut in 1975 and got an Oscar nomination for a film that's well beloved, and then he just kind of just did a bunch of like smaller projects since then for some reason, weird reason. I know he voiced Jack Skellington in A Nightmare Before Christmas.
Oh yeah.
Again, like voicing a horror themed character, and then other than that, just being relegated to the background for most of your career. Yeah, what's up with that? How come 1975 is the year of like, oh, hey, this is a big new actor, young, fresh face, let's give him an Oscar, and then just like for the rest of their careers, just
because Hollywood will chew you up and spit you out. No one said that before. That's an original thought.
Yeah.
I don't know. Couldn't tell you.
Well,
75, yeah, all good years.
Yeah. Well, I think that's about it for me. Did you have any other years?
No, I think we're good. We're at an hour. We could always, like 2019, I did overlook because that was an excellent year. I also watched like 60 movies from that year or something. So I had a lot.
Want to do a quick like speed run? Just like name like a few.
I already exited. Well, Parasite, of course.
Oh yeah, that was good.
That was great. I already exited out of it. I can't remember.
Yeah,
but we can do it another rep.
Yeah. Well, I didn't have any reckless wrecks other than all the ones that. I mentioned.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think we have to do any of this episode, but you should check out our Patreon if you haven't.
We recklessly recommend our channel
for a Patreon. Yeah, and sharing our page, and we have merch at all the tiers, and you could also buy us a beer if you'd like by sending money on PayPal.
Yeah.
Or at a minimum, of which we very much appreciate, would just be sharing it with share. I'd like to say, share it with your nana. Share us with your nana.
Gather the family around the fire and put on a classic episode of the Reckless Musecast.
Can you imagine like just a Rockwell painting, but it's just like this wholesome family around Christmas time and around the fire, and it's just us on a screen,
or they're just gathered around the smartphone.
And it's me ranting about Nancy Pelosi or something.
Well, hey, real quick, Paul Scheer. We talked about him.
We did.
He was on. I don't know if you noticed, but he was on Right Now with John Gabacon.
Was he?
Yeah, it's funny because like I'm not as like I've seen him pop up in a few things. I wasn't as familiar with him. He actually did really well in this episode because he's very. So he's funny, like but like he's also like very like high strung and kind of like nervous. So like he served as like the perfect counterpoint to John Gabacon because he's like he kind of like he plays along with it, like, oh, I'm doing a podcast with a goblin, but he's also like correcting him about certain things. So just sort of like, so I that's my reckless rap.
All right, I don't have one this week, but yeah, I like John Gabacon.
Yeah. Anyway, so if that's it for you, Ben, that's it for me. Then stay reckless, everyone.
Fight the crits.
Yeah.